Hi there, I'm Sue. Welcome to my channel. How are you going today? If you haven't joined me before, I read energy. So I read tarot a little bit differently because I look at blockages that may have kind of more or less inhibited you from getting what you want. Long-term goals, manifestations. This is for people that really know what they want, what they're kind of here for, but they've never really gotten into the flow of the energy of getting what they want and being in that beautiful kind of connection where things come easily. Now, with the manifestation around energy, there's a lot to be looked at, and I think that over time it's really been simplified, as in, well, you can just change your mindset. But really, when the guides look at it, they look at it a little bit deeper than that, and they've kind of walked me through over the past couple of years how deep-seated wounding can really hold you back from manifestation. Now, I use these cards, these are mine. We start off with these in the reading because we look at what actually is holding this back on a surface level. And then we look deeper through the reading as what is actually blocking the energy from kind of flowing. So, and this could have got something to do with something that happened a long time ago that you don't have memory of, but it's still kind of it's really seated deep within you. And so your body kind of holds on to it. So when you try and move forward and you try and goal set in a lot of ways, things just don't pan out. It tends to move more into kind of a lesson again. I don't like using the word patterning because it goes deeper than patterning, because it's an energy that is kind of stuck. So with this, we're just going to look at the card on the surface level of what is kind of blocking the energy at the moment. Now, this is my rules card. This is about doing it your way. It's about kind of having no rules about you and the way you're going to go. Now, this is firmly linked on the surface to education, and how sometimes our belief systems can be really tied to the education that we've had. Now, this is like not only in those early years, but later on when we go into tertiary education or college education, about how and what you learn, and how sometimes your belief systems and what you're here for maybe is conflictual around that. So that on a surface level. So just say you're in a course at the moment, or even school, if you're still at school, you're very conflicted about what you're learning. Maybe you're bored with what you're learning, or maybe it just doesn't gel with you. You're like, I don't see the need in this. And so this is what they're saying. It's like, they're not saying leave, and maybe that is the problem. Maybe that has been a problem for you, that you always want to leave. And with this energy, you will always want to leave on the full moon. You will always, that with my readings, a lot of people are tied with the moon cycles. We all are, but some more than others. And so with that my rules card, my way card, you will always feel the need to seek something on the moon, on the full moon. And because since January we've had these moons, that the new moon and the full moon have been at the same density, so at the same degree level, it kind of feels like sometimes it's one and the same. So with you and these rules, you tend to buck the system a little bit around that time, especially around the full moon, normally. So you will try and seek. So you'll go, I don't want to do this anymore, stuff this, I'm done. And you start to kind of seek on the full moon. Now, this energetically is not a good idea, because basically on the full moon you're meant to be releasing. So on the full moon, if you feel this coming up, now this will be a pattern. This will be a set of circumstances that kind of like you feel like chasing, seeking. let that come up, that feeling of not wanting to be there. Now, this has got to do with something you're learning. This has got to do with either school, with higher education, or maybe work, and you just feel the need to leave, like you're done. But then over the month, it kind of, you're like, oh, it's not so bad, it's okay. And then come the full moon again, you'll feel it rise again. Now, this is an energy that has been deep-seated in you since you were very young. And it's got to do with the way that your school life started. Now, this is what manifestation, it kind of leaves out in a lot of ways. It leaves out the fact that we don't always know, and we don't always have the memory of how we felt in our younger kind of years. We think we do, or our parents have actually told us what we were like, but ourselves, our souls, they try and tell us things that sometimes other people can't see or can't feel, obviously, about us, because everyone has their own feelings. So what happens on the full moon, especially with this rules card, is that it will bring up an energy. That is your soul. That is your soul speaking to you. So when you're in a place and at work, and all of a sudden you feel this need, and you're like, I am so done, I want to leave. But that's been happening probably for a year or 2 years, that you just getting like monthly, like, oh my God, I can't stand this any longer. And you go in a heap, and that's just your soul bringing some things up to the surface. And instead of seeking, because what happens when you seek from that position, you seek out of wounding, and that is a wound that is deep seated. So therefore you bring another lesson. So what needs to happen is that you need to let that feeling rise. Let it come out and sit with it. Now, what's going to happen is your soul more or less educates you to understanding what needs to be released and why. You'll get a deeper understanding of what was it about certain rules when you were young that you didn't like. Now, normally, when that kind of my way card comes up, the thing is that when sometimes we're born, and a lot of us are born into situations where our families only had the capacity to move with their minds. So basically the mind ruled, the heart didn't rule. There was no capacity to go into a heartfelt occupation or kind of pastimes. Nothing about life was heartfelt, really, because everyone was just doing their best, right? The thing is that when you come from a situation like that, which most people have, where you're in survival, or you were told that education was the only way through. So basically there was someone within your very close family that wasn't following their heart, and normally a parent, and it was drummed into you that school, college, university was the only way forward. Now, as you move through school, and if you don't gel with school, or there's something about it, you like creativity, right? Or even if you don't, you just want to do things your way. You can't understand why that would be, they would be following like an archaic system. The thing is with this is the energy coming up and kind of moving through you, and allowing you to just get out of your head and into your heart. So when that kind of feeling comes up, because you've been conditioned to use your head and to logically think things through, because that's been the lineage problem, basically you tend to seek out of your mind. So you start to go, well, hang on a minute, if I don't like this, I'm going to go find something else. So I'm going to leave and move on, and go and find something else, or go and find a course that I believe is right for me. But that is still coming from your mind. That is still coming from your head. And yes, everything is logical. You have to use logic, but not in this space. In this space, you need to let it release, and you need to understand that you're getting out of your head into your heart. And this is how you break the rules for the lineage. This is how you break this patterning, or this, sorry, I hate that word, but like basically the lineage problem, because the energy then becomes unblocked. And once you unblock the energy, everything flows, everything starts to flow. So it's really hard, because basically when we look at energy, and when you read energy, you kind of read it not in form. So you kind of, people just see people and they see their physical form, and everyone's different. Everyone's got, different characteristics. Doesn't matter if you're in the same family or not. So what happens with energy? With energy, everyone takes on the same form, the same aspect at some period in their life. So this is why tarot is very good for this, because it kind of categorizes people in the energy they are at a particular time in their life. So what happens is, you just say in this case, this firmly links to the Queen of Swords energy. Now, this is gender neutral. The Queen of Swords energy is somebody that uses their mind. They're very, they can be educated. Queen of Swords, with our language, the guides and me, we kind of use that Queen of Swords energy as somebody that has gone through, they may have higher level education, and they get a job, but they sit very underneath. It doesn't matter if they're high level job, but they always are subservient to industry, and they don't mind that. They don't mind it. But most people that have the rules card, the my way card, a lot of energetic the energetic thread comes from a parent that has normally been kind of almost indoctrinated in this system where that is the way. And when you try and move with your heart, or maybe you've got into a position in your life where you followed that, and now you're thinking, I really don't like this. I don't know what is going on here, but I really don't like it. You kind of go, but like, what else? Like, what would I do if I didn't do this? Now, this is where this thread is linked to so many different people, because just say it's your mom, just say, she's, and at a time in her life, she was educated, she worked very hard, and she's done very well for herself, right? Just say, this is not for everyone, but just say it is. So basically, you kind of go, okay, well, obviously you want to make her proud, right? You want to go and you want to do the best thing you can. But the thing is, with her, she never really followed her heart. Yes, she's done very well financially, but in her heart of hearts, she tends not to be that happy. And as she grows older, she tends to get a little bit bitter about it. And she, with the Queen of Swords energy in work, as we said, it's somebody that's subservient to industry, no matter what level. But in their private life, they will be very much a Queen of Wands. They'll be very much an optics person. They'll be very much lunches, dinners, kind of follow the pack mentality, because they don't tend to kind of isolate themselves and kind of be in their heart at any point. So there is a thread there, and you will come up against this in your life, where you have these threads, and one of these threads is with people that you work with, or people that you have gone to school with. And so basically the energy of your mother will be a thread and a soul contract, because we're all talking about duality at the moment with June and July, very much about duality and what energetic thread are you linked to. And because you've got the Myrals card, you tend to have to learn this lesson, and you have to learn about energy. You have to understand, okay, well, so that person there holds the same thread of energy as your mother, but you respect your mother. It doesn't mean that you don't like your mother, or you don't admire her. It just means that she in some respects, she's been told what she's to do and she does it, no matter what level. But for you, you're not doing this. You don't want to do it, and you're not here to do it. This is the point. You're not here to be that person, but at the moment you are that person. And so this is what this week, particularly this week, is about. It's about, and I know it's not a full moon, but it's a new moon, and it's a new moon that carries the same density as a full moon. So this is the time now to plant what you do want, to get really into your heart, your way. Cut out the belief system, cut out all the things that you've been told that you are, and really change your perspective on who you are. Because of these feelings that have been coming up. Now, this is not something that's new. This is something that's been happening over either the last 6 months or the last year, that it's just been coming up time and time again, and more often around that full moon. So now is the time where you kind of get into your heart, and you, even though maybe you've tried a few times to kind of think, well, what if I try things a little bit differently, and it hasn't worked out? This June and July have been it's almost like a pivot point where you really start to say to yourself, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to people please. I'm not going to start to kind of overgive in work. I'm not going to give all my energy to this job that I'm in, but I'm going to kind of just go through the motions with this, because for some of you, you are really, I see this, you're in your heart now, but you're people pleasing at work because you think that you have to overgive to achieve, and you're overgiving and you don't even like the job. So but you've had education around this, and so you kind of feel like, well, what's the investment here? Like, what kind of investment have I made here? And if I'm talking to, there's all these different levels of energy that I'm speaking to, not because there's levels hierarchy, just because of age. You kind of sometimes in the last 10 years, you've really become more discontent. And throughout these kind of few years, you've tried a few different things and they really haven't worked. But this time you're putting your heart into it. This time you understand the thread of energy. So with understanding the energy and understanding if that person at work holds the same thread of energy as a parent, or as a grandparent, or even as a sister, you kind of can understand why this person it's kind of grating on your nerves, and you mightn't even be close to this person, but because you were meant to evolve and transform out of that lineage, you are going to come up against this parent, no matter the thread to the soul contract, the duality. You kind of are really going to come into contact with this person, with this energy, the collective of energy time and time again until you understand that why you are coming up against this person. Why are you coming up against this again? Like, you don't understand. And maybe you have changed your job over the last 10 years, but nothing has happened. It's not like you've gone with your heart. You've actually just changed and got a different job, but nothing has happened. You're still discontent. So this is, they're asking you to now be persistent in the fact, yeah, there she is. I knew. The thing is that this Queen of Swords energy at the moment is the biggest blockage of energy within our society. And the guides have, and there's the Queen of Wands on the bottom. So basically, I'm just going to do the reading. I've kind of laid out the cards as I've been speaking to you. But there's a Queen of Swords energy as the outcome. And the Queen of Wands sits on the bottom. So that's what you can't see. And this is where, this is where I say the Queen of Swords in a work environment is very good. Like, they know their stuff, right? But unfortunately, as time goes on, they realize that they're just not happy, and they have been overgiving in a lot of ways, which over time drains their energy. And so when they move into like their time off, they tend to escape their time off in ways that aren't good for them, like in lifestyle choices that aren't good for them, because basically they're not happy at work, and then they have time off, and then they don't know how to even get into their heart, and so they escape their own lives, their energy. Now, if and a lot of these people have had children, and the children can kind of see like and feel into it at a very young age. The children feel it, and there's something about it that doesn't sit right with the child, because the person themselves isn't in their heart. Now, this doesn't mean that the person, there's anything wrong, that they're not nasty. They can be, but normally they're just not. They just don't have the capacity. So there has been a laying of a foundation with this person, with this parent or that energy, that kind of has laid the foundation for, this brilliant, almost what not to do. Because even though, they've done a great job, and financially they may be, so far ahead, not always, but so far ahead, that, they kind of, they have laid a financial foundation for the children to be able to get into their heart. But that's not what always happens, because the child then is kind of goes on this same path, but really they were meant to heal that lineage problem of like not getting into their heart, and getting into your heart at a job where just say you're doing engineering, and you really don't like it, but you're just there for the money, and you tend to people please. Like, you jump at every project, you work away a lot from home, you give all. That's not giving your heart. That's not what that is. That's just overgiving, because you just don't know what else to do. Giving to your heart needs to be in your private life, in your family, with your private connections, understanding growth of heart, understanding where your heart sits. Your heart can always be in your job, of course, because you love it, and you like it. But if your heart is there, you'll never overgive, because you understand the give and take of energy, because you can read energy, right? So this is where we're heading with this. This is my channel. I really have spent a lifetime understanding energy. At a very young age, I was put into a place where I didn't understand energy. I read it, it came for me, but I wasn't able to read it in the right way. And so I had to spend a lifetime getting used to this and kind of working with the guides around this. And we work daily in meditation, in kind of isolation. We kind of work together. And yes, of course, this is my labor of love, of course, but I wouldn't overgive with this. At times I've had to overgive, but I realize now that that's not what energy is. The energy will never give back because it has to be equal. So positive and negative, right? So basically this what is happening now with who I'm talking to is that this change of belief system is faded. So but the thing is that sometimes these are the crossing cards where, you know, for better or worse, this is going to turn. So and normally it turns if you can't kind of understand the thread and why you're here and the lineage problems, you tend, you know, to go through a lot of tower moments, because basically when those feelings start to come up, you seek. You just seek. And you seek, and if you seek something, it will be out of the wounding, but not only yours, not just yours. It's around the parent, it's around the parent's parent, it's around that great grandfather, it's around that energy that has got you here. So you've come to heal this. You don't understand why you're here. You keep saying, I don't understand why I'm here. Like I don't get it. Like, what if I've changed jobs a few times and I'm still unhappy? Like, what is going on? Like, why can't I just get into this flow? That's why. And it's probably really not about the change of the job so much, but it's about understanding the energy and the thread back to the lineage. That is the big thing. So it is about the growth of where you are, where you're standing. And so you've just got to understand why you kind of have to be where you are right now. So seeking and kind of moving, like kind of physically moving to another role is not a good idea at this time, because the growth has to happen where you are. You have to understand the thread, you have to understand energy, and you also have to understand the link, that thread to the people that you're working with, to the thread back to your lineage. So just really work with this at the moment. The shift is going to be inside you, not outside you. So the shift is you moving into your heart with the Knight of Cups and really the Knight of Wands. All of a sudden there's a super shift inside you, and things get moving really, really quickly, and you start to understand, like, the juggling that you've kind of had. You're juggling. This is almost when you make a commitment to growing where you are and understanding the energy, understanding the thread, understanding why you're here, why you're in this role right now. You all of a sudden the anchor appears. And you know that you have the anchor. You know that you can be and put into any kind of place and still have this anchor, because you understand the thread of energy. You understand why you're here, because you're here to get into your heart. You're here to kind of make it easy for yourself, and you're here to enjoy, right? And you're here to enjoy your personal life. You're here to find love. You're here to enjoy your children. And then all of a sudden you go, oh my God. I'm actually here to enjoy myself? Are you joking? Even if money is tight, you're like, yeah, but it's okay, because I've got a job, right? I'm okay. And if you haven't got a job, you can still move forward, knowing that, okay, your job is going to teach you what this thread of energy is about, and how it kind of links your heart. Because there's something in the next role that you're going to get that maybe you don't like, maybe you're like, far out, and maybe that's about a belief, maybe it's got to do with your self-belief. But I'm not going to talk about that right now, because we're just talking about the education side of it right now, and how and how that links back to this Queen of Swords energy. So when this is kind of in the next, near future, so next kind of couple of weeks to a month, where you start to make a choice about what this is. Now, when people see this Ten of Pentacles, all of a sudden they jump to conclusions that this is wealth for them. This is wealth. This is unbelievable. So you start to kind of make choices and think, oh, well, okay, so if it's wealth, it's got to do with the resources of what I earn, what I invest, and yes, of course it has. But this card is more about energy than any other card, because this is about the energy of family. So basically what they're showing me at the moment is they're showing me that the energy of the family, of the lineage, is stuck. So it's not only that you feel this way, other people before you have felt this way. Other people before you haven't understood their heart and have always been in their mind. But really what they needed to do was just look behind them, because the light is shining here behind them. But they couldn't. And that's behind them. That is like when they were younger, what they loved, what they felt so good doing when they were young. And all of a sudden they became, almost, I don't know, the same as everybody else. And then, this was about, if you stay in this, then yes, that's going to lead to property, right? But there's a lot of problems with that at the moment, because there's people that only have this concern around the investment of property, but they're not in their hearts when they're doing it. So therefore, the home that they buy is unhealed. And this is another thread. So I'm not, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the way the lineage gets stuck, and that this kind of energy within families, it doesn't matter whether you have money or you don't have money. This energy in families is real right now, and it's real right now, June, July, where one person in that family is kind of getting into their heart and going, okay, this is it. This has been going on for a long decades now, and okay, I'm gonna do it. Now, in doing that, it's hard, because there's been a pause for a long time, like a massive pause for a long time within your family, within your family's family, and no one has really, everyone's kind of thought that they've gone on this new journey in their personal life, but it's always ended up the same, because they've just made a linear move, not an ascended move. So the lineage didn't really get healed. Now, this is what is happening now to whoever I'm speaking to, because you're going to do it your way, because you understand now the threads of energy that kind of connect you to just acquaintances. It could be best friends. It could be like just people outside of your family, work colleagues. So that thread will always link back to somebody within your family that you are meant to evolve and transform out of. And this is very hard. I'm going to say it's a big job, right? So don't underestimate how you've been going backwards and forwards with these decisions, or thinking that you'll do something and then going, no, I can't, because of fear. Please don't please don't beat yourself up about that, because it's very, very difficult to move with your heart. Hello. It's this is the hardest thing to do, because the fear around finance is real. It's the fear around not having security is real. It's not fake, it's real. And so there's a slow transition. Okay, some people do it quickly. Some people take this jump and then end up and they're like, you know, they're couch surfing, or they're living out of their car, and then whatever. And don't project onto these people. Don't project your energy onto these people because they're doing it a different way. Look at that and go, wow, that person's really following their heart. Don't look at them and go, oh God, they're homeless. Oh God, like imagine that. No, they're just following their heart. They're doing what they can. So in every one of us, it's like time to just go, okay, am I actually doing what I want? Not around money, not around, because if it's money only, well then you're going to end up like this Queen of Swords, who yeah, she's got a lot. She knows her stuff, but she really, at the end of her day, when she takes that last breath, she is nowhere near where her soul wanted to go. And this is what this is. This is a very impoverished feeling, not about money. It's not about money. It's about like the fact that you can follow your heart and not be seen all your life. You can struggle so much with like people projecting onto you that are in this Queen of Swords position, and this is why it's so hard to move with that energy, away from that energy, using your guidebook, your guides, your rules. It's very, very difficult. It's not easy. And especially if you've come from a space where everybody almost idolizes education to a point where it's detrimental to your health and your heart. So this is the outcome. So whoever I'm talking to, you kind of start with this putting boundaries around this people pleasing at work. So you start there. You start with, you front up, you do the job, you're good at your job and you get paid for it, and you then turn around and you say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to concentrate on my personal life, because within your personal life, that is where your heart shines easiest, because you know what you like. If you go out with friends, and if you're kind of escaping on the weekend, whatever lifestyle choice that you make, you start to kind of go, you know what, I'm just so over this now. I've been doing this. Like, why am I still doing this? Why don't I go and try something new? And so your heart starts to speak on your days off. Or if you have a family, you know, you might just go to a soccer game and stand on the sideline because you haven't done it, and be present. And you all of a sudden your heart starts to speak to you in ways that you haven't felt. You become so emotional because you just know that it feels so good. But why is it feeling good? Like, why does it feel good? Like, I'm not really doing much, but it feels so good. Then what happens when you go into work, and around that moon period where that kind of full moon energy kind of comes up, we've got a big one in Aquarius at the end of the month. And this is why I'm doing this, is because you have this kind of energy that kind of comes up. You will be able to go, that's just my heart trying to speak to my head and trying to say, just let that go now. We're going to let that release happen, because once that happens, we're closer to moving with our hearts within this work situation, and we're really going to get there. Because once you start to kind of feel into your personal life and feel this energy shift within your personal life, you get a lot of, and plus, especially if you remain present, especially if you don't choose lifestyle choices that kind of, you know, help you escape where you are. If you remain present and remain stoic in that, you know, you have that anchor even in your time off, and don't let other people project onto you, well, then you're going to really feel that you are very close to having it all, right? And so you start to grow in the job where you are. So you start to understand, you start to level up emotionally. You have this because you have education, but you also have a big heart. You also are a leader. You also are able to step up in this new, evolved, transformative belief system that industry really needs. And so it doesn't really mean that you have to change jobs. It just has to mean that you evolve and transform in the energy that you really should be in, that aspect where you haven't actually stepped into that collective yet, because this thread to this Queen of Swords energy has really been there since maybe you were 9-10 years old, where maybe you really wanted to do something, but because of finance, because of lack of time, because your parents were pushed to the edge, that you weren't able to do what you wanted to do, so you had to kind of succumb to it. But now you're an adult, right? And you are able to kind of move forward in this way and really understand these aspects of energy. So we're getting out of this. You get out of this projection. You no longer see this structure as the answer. It is good because it offers so much to you, but you don't let this projection of kind of, well, what are you doing? Like, well, don't you want to? It's kind of a sheep mentality, this. And you're trying to get out of that. You're trying to be very courageous in standing kind of tall and understanding why you're here and the energy threads that link you to these lineage problems that have really inbound and harbored your ancestors from following their heart. So I'm just going to get into just the final little aspect of this and kind of understand how the energy is going to be unblocked, because basically what they want is the energy to move freely and for you to feel, right? And then be able to manifest from a place of healing. Now, it does take a lifetime to heal these different threads, and also with the duality, you think, oh, okay, well, I had a soul contract there. Yeah, I had like siblings, or I had a parent, or I had, maybe you've been married before. I had a husband, but you don't really understand them at a deep level, because all of a sudden things start to come up where you may have had a best friend when you were younger who was a soul contract. We'd had a very, very, like a very strong thread, more like a rope, that over past lives you haven't been able to disconnect. And that belief system around that friend carries through your life, and these different collectives of energy keep coming up, and you keep going, wow, like, that person so reminds me of that like kind of girl that I went to school with. It's just crazy. But they're in different form, right? They come up and physically they're very different. But there is a rope there that you haven't been able to sever for a long time, like lives. So and that links you and that person maybe to a sibling that kind of you struggled with. Maybe there was competition when you were growing up, or something like that. So you've got to understand manifestation from that viewpoint. You have to understand that the energy needs to flow. It can't be blocked. And the more I'll do these every day, and we'll just look at different aspects. Like, obviously we're looking at the Queen of Swords, and I don't want to start bad mouthing the Queen of Swords, obviously, because there's a lot of beautiful Queen of Swords energies around. But in this case, with this reading, we're talking about the child of the Queen of Swords, no matter what age you are, and we want this manifestation to come in, and the energy to flow, and you to manifest from a very healed space, from a very energy, like clean energy, uplifted energy, and really get into this value of family, understanding that the lineage is no longer blocked. You are able to kind of claim why you're here, resources flow, and your belief system changes and evolves throughout the time. It just doesn't stay the same. So this is I mean, it's great. This reading is fantastic. And when they were talking to me about it, it is exciting because you know, normally there's just kind of, you know, these kind of people that sit in these families, and it's just like kind of one person, and there is a lot of this projection, a lot of this, and there has to be strength here. I'm surprised the strength card hasn't come up, but there has to be a lot of strength around this. And a lot of times people spend a lot, you know, time in solitude, and this may not be you at the moment, but maybe moving forward you will. And so with this solitude card and the Queen of Wands, you need to understand that this is good for the Queen of Wands, especially if you are in that Queen of Swords energy, that work energy where you're in your mind a lot, you're not in your heart, your job maybe doesn't, you know, it's very cerebral, that the energy around your job, you tend not to really get into your heart a lot. So when you're in solitude with the Queen of Swords, you have to take your power back around putting these boundaries up around work, allowing the true you to come forward, really, you know, like a real sense of kind of productive rest. This is very much productive rest, taking off the mask and feeling your way through your time off. And so you can really get into this Empress energy and let the energy flow towards you. And this is what they want this week as well, coming into that new moon in Cancer, because, you know, this is all about home and family. This is all about this. It's all about this. It's all about honesty. It's all about how, you know, no matter what it looks like, what the optics are like, you know, how you feel about it is really important. So just remember that this is almost the, you know, this Phoenix rising, this new beginning. And I love this card because it's so much different to the Fool. You know, it's the same card, but it's really enlightenment and kind of, you know, facing these challenges head on and really feeling right. And it's beauty. It's not suffering. It's just like moving towards the light and understanding that this Fool card is what's been in the past, is that people have changed and they've kind of moved sideways, but now this new beginning is about the rise, the ascension. And I think that's gorgeous. And I think I'm going to leave it there because this is you guys. And, you know, congratulations for whoever is going to do this. And if you're in the middle of this, please understand that we're all with you. There's a big collective of energy that is going through the same thing. So don't think just because you're one out in your family, you're not one out in this community, because there's a massive soul tribe here that is also rising. There's leaders here that can kind of help you. So I wish you all the best and have a great day, and I'll see you soon.